The world is filled with haunted places, from haunted cities around the globe to the creepiest locations on Earth. Whether a ghost hunter, a history buff, or someone who loves architecture, there's nothing quite like being enchanted by an old church, though, especially eerily beautiful yet haunted churches around the world. From St. Patrick's Basilica in New York City all the way to St. Thomas, Anglican Parish of Mulgoa in rural Australia, each of the churches on this list are still in working order as centers of worship or museums. Visitors can tour the sites, attend Mass, see ancient artifacts, or visit on a holy feast day. There's a mix of Christian denominations featured in these various churches, so check your calendars for special days before visiting. Either way, be prepared for some serious goosebumps. Here are some creepy old churches around the world. Number 10. The Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral, New York City. As one of the many iconic landmarks in New York City, the Basilica of St. Patrick's Old Cathedral has a troubled history. Besides being on top of a catacomb of mortuary vaults opened only once a year, this creepy church is where many priests and holy people are buried. It's rumored a layman, Pierre Toussaint, also regularly haunts the church and surrounding area to this day, as he's buried in the catacombs. The church has seen many names and faces and lived through violent periods in New York City's history. It's eerie yet hauntingly beautiful in many ways. Number 9. The Borgund Stave Church, Borgund, Norway. The unique architecture of this former church and its location in the middle of a medieval cemetery is chilling and fascinating. The only stone you find here is in the foundation. The building is named for the brilliant design it utilizes, consisting of only wood that's cut specifically to fit together without nails or stakes. It seems to have worked well since the building has stood for more than 1,000 years. Some sacred accessories remain, like the altar, and the walls are decorated with various engravings of animals and mystical creatures. The decor even includes Norse runes. Number 8. Norwich Cathedral, England. Thousands of curious tourists, many of them keen on paranormal activity, take a tour through this ancient church on a regular basis. The mix of imposing Norman, Romanesque, and ethereal Gothic architecture is only the tip of what makes this church so creepy yet beautiful. Moreover, the church and surrounding cloisters are almost 1,000 years old, and they've seen a lot of turbulent history. The site is also home to various hauntings. Some of the former bishops, priests, nuns, and other people who were burned at the stake, along with ancient Saxons whose homes and temples were razed to make way for the cathedral, are said to be among the ghosts that roam this scary church. Number 7. St. Paul's Episcopal Church, Key West, Florida. This church proves that Florida is more than just theme parks and beaches. It's a hotspot of historical haunts, too. Interestingly, this church only looks so bright and new because it's been rebuilt so many times. In fact, excavations have determined that the site was once a Seminole burial ground, and that's only the beginning. The land was privately owned by the Fleming family before the church was built, and the land was only granted after the widow was assured her husband's remains, already interred on the land, would not be disturbed. Local legend says that the promise was broken, and the ghost of John William Charles Fleming still wanders the site. Other apparitions have been reported in the church graveyard. A ghostly group of children who were killed in a fire set by a jealous deacon who was trying to take revenge on his unfaithful wife. It's also located on one of the best streets in Key West, Duval Street, which offers much to do. Number 6. St. Michael's Chapel, Hallstatt, Austria. This is where you can find the famous Hallstatt ossuary, which contains the largest collection of painted human skulls on the planet. Haunts aside, the view from here is heavenly, complete with mountains and an alpine lake. This chapel and charnel house date from a time when Catholics had to be buried in the consecrated ground, so they could rise from their graves when the end of time came. The result was that many graveyards were crowded, and storing bones in an ossuary or using them for religious displays was one way to solve this problem. Enjoy the view while admiring the array of human bones. Number 5. St. Andrew's on the Red, Selkirk, Canada. Ancient according to North American standards, St. Andrew's is the oldest stone church in Western Canada. It's located in a small suburb of Winnipeg and has stood since 1831. It's located on a lightly forested hill, and the Gothic design is rather imposing. Both the church and the graveyard that surround the site are apparently haunted. Victims of influenza, diphtheria, typhoid, and tuberculosis from the early colonial era were some of the first to be interred here, and their restless spirits still wander the grounds. Number 4. St. Michan's Church, Dublin, Ireland. Before this church was built here in 1095, it was the site of an Old Norse chapel. It was likely a temple or burial site before that. Even in this crowded and modern urban setting, the plain-looking church has some amazing interior features and an even more dramatic history. What makes this church so unique and terrifying is the collection of mummies. The limestone vaults have kept the air dry, creating an ideal environment for preservation. The crypts are filled with dusty coffins and rough stones, a sight to make anyone's hair stand on end. Don't miss the Crusader and the 400-year-old nun. Number 3. The Duomo of Cosenza, Italy. Like many places in this ancient part of Italy, the city's main cathedral is so old nobody knows exactly when it was built. It was one of the first sites in Calabria to be awarded UNESCO heritage status, partly for this reason. Consecrated as a cathedral or Duomo in 1184, the actual structure is much older than that. If you visit today, you can see the changes in architecture that have taken place over the centuries, which is one of the features that makes this church so overwhelming. It blends into the surrounding buildings and seems to hide below them. The low street level is a testament to its advanced age. There are various ancient burials in the church, many of which are on display, such as the bones of the cathedral's first priest. Number 2. Cathedral of the Assumption of Our Lady, Guadalajara, Mexico. When the sun hits the right angle, it makes the old bricks of this church seem to glow with ethereal orange light. The Spanish Renaissance exterior, framed by Gothic spires, is both romantic and chilling. The interior has impressive neo-Gothic vaults and houses, impressive artwork from the late medieval and modern period, which makes the place seem even more otherworldly. These are just the aesthetic reasons why this building is among the most beautiful yet scariest churches in the world. Inside, one of the most popular attractions at the Cathedral of the Assumption of Our Lady is the Crypt of the Archbishops. If that doesn't give you chills, the mummified bodies on display will. There's one that dates from the 1700 of a child who was killed for converting to Catholicism. Witnesses claim to have seen her eyes blink and watched her hair move. Number 1. St. Thomas, Anglican Parish of Mulgoa, New South Wales, Australia. This is a quaint church that has a striking Gothic Revival design, but its age and location on a hillside in a semi-rural area hide a tragic history. Legend has it that 2 young boys died in a fire in the bell tower after a prank went horribly wrong. Any kind of light, even candles, angers these restless spirits. Reports of strange issues with lights flashing on and off have been reported. Even drivers cruising by apparently have had problems with headlights. The surrounding cemetery, filled with monuments that date back 200 years, completes the creepy picture. So, we have shared with you top 10 beautifully scary churches from around the world that will creep you out. Hope they will be useful to you. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.